Alright folks, I'm going to implement the power function. This is a challenge on the LeetCode website, which is simply to implement the power function. Usually the standard library of your programming language would give this to you, but in this case, we're going to have to write our own. It gave us a few examples, such as 2 to the 10th power is the 1024. Some companies, they don't allow you to actually execute the code. So I'm going to practice doing it with only pen and paper. I got a damp towel here to erase off things a little faster if I need to. Okay, and I'm gonna get started. So the examples are, if the input is x is 2 and then n is 10, then the output should be 1024.0. So like we're assuming floating point numbers here. And then the next case is, okay, so I think this is just a iterative multiplication problem, I believe, because if you want to get the power of 2, so 2 to the 10th power is simply 2 multiplied by itself 10 times. So you could make a loop, right? So for I equals, I don't know, 1 to 10. I'm writing in pseudo basic, I guess. I have a product. If I initialize it at 1, then I can do product equals product times 2, and the for loop. That should give us what we're after here. However, that doesn't work if the exponent is negative. So in the case where the exponent is negative, we should multiply it by, if exponent is negative, then we actually want to do product equals product times 1 over 2. Of course, this doesn't work just for 2, but it should work for everything, for any base. Okay, so let's try to write this algorithm. Okay, so I'm gonna write this. Let's write this in Python, because Python is more terse, and then I don't have to write so much. Python may already have a pow function, so I might have to write it with a different name. So I'm gonna write it, call it mypow. It's gonna receive an x and an n. We're gonna iterate through this guy n times, basically. So I'm gonna say for I in range of n, and I believe that will make it iterate n times. Forgot to initialize the product. So product, we're gonna initialize it as 1, and now we're gonna do our for loop for I in range of n, which in Python In Python, if you don't know, that gives you a list range of n, like range of, let's say range of 5. Range of 5 gives you a list that is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. I believe, although in the newer version of Python, it doesn't give you an actual list. It gives you something like a lazy list. So it doesn't have to allocate the memory to, if it was 1 million, it will actually allocate the memory to store all those numbers. Okay. So iterating through this, I'm gonna say if my n is greater than 0. Hold up. Will this work if it's a negative number? Huh. I might have to handle it initially. Okay, so this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna say each of these guys is, if each of the parts of the product, what's the name for this? Each of the base, maybe this is called the base. I'm gonna set up a base. If n is negative, the base is gonna be, yeah, I'm just gonna write this out. I'm gonna have a base which is normally x, but if n is negative, then I'm gonna change the base to 1 divided by x. Now I'm ready to, now this base is what I'm gonna multiply into the product at every iteration. So if I is in range of n, then, did I say if? I meant for I in range of n, then product is product times base. I'm gonna return the product at the end. Okay, I think that's it. Now I'm gonna verify this answer by running through this algorithm by hand. Okay, let's use the input examples that were given. So the x is 2 and the n is 10. I'm gonna use a program counter here, which is gonna be this cap here. So here we've initialized x to 2 and n to 10 here. I'm going to advance the program counter and execute this statement, which is going to set the product to 1. And then we're going to advance again. This says I'm going to create a base variable and set its value to whatever x has, which is 2. I'm going to do an if statement. If n is less than 0, which is not true, so we're skipping this next one. And we're going to go for I in range of n. Now because this is a loop and there's actually some associated state, I'm gonna actually write out what the range of n would be. The range of n, I believe, is gonna be an array that has as many items as n. It's gonna start at 0. Okay. And then I is going to be one of these guys. So I'm going to actually put a little, maybe I need another little pointer here to remember what I is. Okay, so I initially is going to be, whatever this cap is pointing to is going to be 0. And then we're going to advance into the loop of the body of the loop, which says we're going to take the product, multiply it by base, and then set it back, store it back into the variable product. Product is 1. 1 times base, 1 times base is 2. So 1 times 2 is 2. We're going to take 2 and set it back into the product. Okay, now we're going back to the top of the loop. I'm going to move this pointer over, and then that is now going to be the new version of I. This is sliding down on me. So I is 1 now. I doesn't matter. We're actually not using actually not even using I. So I might just not bother updating this I. That's what I'm thinking, because it's irrelevant. It's not getting referenced by the program. I'm just gonna have this pointer here. Okay, so we're gonna do again. Product equals product times base. So product is 2, base is 2. 2 times 2 is gonna be 4. 4, storing 4 back into the product. So 4. Okay, now moving this pointer over by another 1. And now we're going to do it again. 4 times 2, store it back to product. 4 times 2 is 8. We're going to move this over one more time. Maybe I do it here so it won't drop. Okay, we do this again. Product times base. 8 times 2 is going to be 16. Okay, move this over again. Do the same thing. 16 times 2, 34. 32. Sorry. Okay, move this over one more. So 32 times 2 now is 64. Move over one more. 64 times 2 is going to be 128. Okay, move it over one more. 128 times 2 is going to be 256. Okay. Move it over another one. 256 times 2 is going to be 512. And then move it finally, this one. One more time. 2 times 512 is going to be 1024. And then we're at the end of the range. So we jump out of the for loop, and we're going to return the product, which is 1024. So return value is 1024. That is the expected output. So we're good here for example number 1. Let's go to example number 2. So our x again, x is going to be 2.1. N is going to be 3. Okay. All right, we're initializing the product to 1. And then I'm going to set the base to be x, which is 2.1. And then if n is less than 0, which it's not, so we're skipping the next statement and going to the for loop. And for the for loop, again, we're going to generate a range of n. I'm going to write it out. Range of n is range of 3. So range of 3 is going to have 0, 1, and 2 in it. And again, let's have this little pointer here that remembers where in the iteration we are. Now we're going to do this statement, product equals product times base. So product 1 times base is 2.1, gets us 2.1. We're going to store 2.1 back into the product. We'll go back to the top of the for loop, move this pointer over by 1. Now we're going to do this line again, product times base, 2.1 times 2.1. What is 2.1 times 2.1? Let me see if I still remember how to do multiplication. So I think it's, I put a 0 here. Oh, not yet. Let's do 1 times 2.1. 1 times 2.1 is 2.1. And then we're going to put a 0 here and do 2 times 2.1, which is 4, 2. And then we're going to add them together. 1, 4, 4. Where should the decimal go? I think the decimal should go here. So we should have gotten 4.41. I hope I'm right about that. I'm going to move the pointer over one more time. And then we're going to do the same thing again. This time we're going to do 4.41 times 2.1. Okay. Actually, I think we line them up. Actually, I really don't remember how to do this, but I'm going to try my best. 4.41. And then 2, I'm going to put a 0 here and put 2 times 441, which is going to get us 882. I'm going to add these digits together. This is 12 with a carry and is 9. 9261. And where should the decimal go? I believe it should go 3, because you can't add the places of both of them 3. So enter 9261. That's what it, that's the expected answer. So I think I got it right. 9.261. Okay, so we were at the end of the range, so that's gonna drop out of the for loop and return the product, which is the right answer. Okay, finally, let's do the last one, which has input of x is 2 and n is -2. This is the one that's going to exercise this if statement, see if that works. Okay, so we're going to initialize the product to 1, initialize the base to whatever x is, which is 2. If n is less than 1, which it is in this case, then we're going to change the base to 1 divided by 2. So 1 divided by 2 is 0.5. And then now we're going to do this for loop. There's a mistake, because this range of n is going to be range of -2, and I don't think that's what I want. I think I need to do an absolute value of n here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay. This is called just-in-time coding. While the computer is executing the code, you see a mistake in the code, you fix it just in time before the computer executes it. Anyway, so now that with this absolute value in place, we're gonna end up doing a range of 2, which is gonna give us the array or list, as we say in Python, that has the numbers 0 and 1, and we're gonna have a pointer here. Okay, so now we're gonna do product times the base and store it back in the product. So that's gonna give us 0.5. I'm gonna move this pointer over and then do the same thing again here. 0.5 times 0.5. Pretty sure that's 0.25, but I will do it out just in case. So 5 times 5 is 25. And we have to shift the decimal point over 2 places because there are 2 places combined. So 0.25 is the product. And then this is the end of the range. So we're going to jump out of this for loop and return the product. So return value is 0.25. And that is the expected answer. Very good. So I'm going to go ahead and type this solution. Product equal 1, base equal x. If n is less than 0, base is 1 divided by x. I in range of absolute value of n. Product is product times base. Return the product. Let's try to run this code. It likes it. I'm gonna do a submit. Time limit exceeded.